Sylvester Stallone sits in a sterile medical office when a doctor looks up from his chart and says 5 words that would end most careers: "Your body can't handle this." What he does in the next 6 months doesn't just prove the doctor wrong, it rewrites what the medical community believes is possible. Los Angeles, September 1996. Dr. Raymond Chen, one of Hollywood's most respected sports medicine physicians, slides MRI images across his desk. 6 major shoulder injuries, 4 neck herniations, chronic lower back degeneration, torn rotator cuffs in both shoulders, cartilage damage in both knees. The list goes on. Each injury documented, each one permanent. Stallone sits across from him. Leather jacket, sunglasses pushed up on his head, listening, not arguing, just listening. Because he knows what's coming. Dr. Chen explains that Stallone wants to make another action film, an intense boxing movie requiring months of brutal training, hours of fight scenes, physical demands that would challenge a 25-year-old athlete. And Stallone isn't 25. He's 50, with decades of accumulated damage from doing his own stunts. The doctor's concern is genuine. He's seen catastrophic injuries when aging athletes refuse to accept decline. He doesn't want that for Stallone. He recommends less demanding roles, suggests dramatic work, directing, producing, says there's no shame in acknowledging limitations. That 50 is a good run for an action star. But what's truly shocking isn't Stallone's reaction, it's his silence. Stallone lets the silence hang, then asks, "What's the worst that could happen?" Dr. Chen doesn't hesitate. Permanent spinal injury, paralysis, catastrophic joint failure, heart attack. Each possibility medically documented, each one a real risk. Stallone nods slowly, then says something that makes Dr. Chen pause. "I understand the risks. I've been doing it anyway. So the question is not should I do this? The question is how do I do this as safely as possible?" Dr. Chen stares at him. In 25 years of medicine, he's rarely encountered this combination of determination and self-awareness. Most patients deny limitations. Stallone acknowledges every risk, then calmly states he's proceeding regardless. This is exactly the point where everything changed. Dr. Chen makes a decision. If Stallone is determined, and clearly he is, then the responsible thing is helping him do it safely. But he has conditions. Strict conditions. First, complete medical baseline, full scans, blood work, cardiac tests, neurological evaluation. They need to know every weakness, every vulnerability. Second, training under medical supervision, physical therapists, nutritionists, specialized trainers. Stallone doesn't train alone, ever. Any sign of serious injury, training stops immediately. Third, modified approach. Stallone can't train like he's 25, they need new methods. Smarter methods. Ways to build capability without destroying his body. Stallone agrees to the first 2 without hesitation. The third he negotiates. He'll accept modified training but won't use stunt doubles for close-up fight scenes. The audience needs to see his face during intense moments. That's what creates emotional connection. Dr. Chen isn't happy but recognizes it's the best compromise he'll get. What you've seen so far is nothing. The baseline tests are worse than expected. Testosterone levels low, inflammation markers elevated, bone density declining. His cardiovascular system is surprisingly solid, but recovery capacity is significantly compromised. His body can perform, but can't bounce back like before. Dr. Chen's team develops a protocol, not just training, but complete physiological intervention. They're biohacking a 50-year-old body to perform like a 30-year-old without destroying it. This has never been attempted at this scale. The nutritional component is extreme. Every meal calculated, protein timing optimized. Anti-inflammatory foods prioritized, supplements for joints, hormones, cellular recovery. Stallone eats 6 times daily. Every meal measured, every macro tracked, no deviations. For 6 months, his body becomes a science experiment. The training protocol is revolutionary. They can't do traditional bodybuilding. His joints can't handle it. Instead, functional movement, resistance bands, body weight exercises, high repetition, lower weight, constant tension. Time under tension becomes more important than weight moved. But here's what shocked the medical team. Stallone's discipline. Most actors would cheat, skip sessions, complain. Stallone does none of this, follows every protocol exactly, takes every supplement on schedule, attends every therapy session, never misses, never complains, never cuts corners. Dr. Chen later admits he's never seen commitment like this. Olympic athletes don't show this adherence. Stallone treats the medical protocol like a film performance. Every detail matters. 3 months in, something remarkable happens. Inflammatory markers drop significantly. Recovery times improve, range of motion increases. Body composition changes. The medical team is documenting something unprecedented, a 50-year-old body responding like a much younger one. Wait a second. Dunstedt missed this detail. But the real test comes when boxing training begins. Full speed, full contact. This is where bodies break down. Boxing coach Jimmy Nickerson, former professional fighter, sees Stallone and thinks this is going to be hard. You're fighting biology. But he also sees that refusal to accept limitation in Stallone's eyes, so he commits fully. They start slowly. Fundamental movements. But Stallone's body has changed. They rebuild his boxing technique around current limitations. Modified combinations that look powerful but don't damage shoulders. Defensive movements protecting his neck. Footwork minimizing knee stress. 4 months in, they film a test scene. Full-speed choreography, multiple takes, 2 hours of sustained intensity that exhausts professional fighters in their 20s. Stallone is 50, with chronic injuries, with a body doctor Chen said couldn't handle this. You once said believe this. But Stallone completes the sequence without injury. No acute problems, just normal fatigue. The medical team is stunned. This shouldn't be possible. But here's what they missed. They underestimated what proper support could achieve. Stallone's body wasn't as broken as it appeared, it was unsupported. Once proper infrastructure was in place, his body responded. The film production continues. 6 months of demanding work. Stallone performs at a level that shocks everyone. The director, 15 years younger, admits he can't keep up. Younger actors struggle to match his intensity. Word spreads through Hollywood. Other actors called Dr. Chen, want the protocols, want similar results, but they don't understand. It's not just the protocol, it's the person. Stallone's willingness to suffer, his absolute refusal to compromise, his showing up every single day, regardless of pain. But what was truly shocking was the day the film was released. The film releases. Critics expect a vanity project from an aging star. Instead, they see something shocking. Stallone looks credible, dangerous. The fight scenes are brutal, realistic, powerful. You believe this man can still fight. The film succeeds commercially and artistically. Stallone receives some of his career's best reviews. Critics praise his physical commitment, his proving that 50 isn't the end. Dr. Chen publishes a case study in a medical journal, details the protocols they used. The paper generates significant interest in sports medicine communities. But the real impact is broader. Other 50-year-old men see Stallone's performance, start asking their doctors questions, start pushing back against assumptions about aging. Stallone didn't just make a film, he challenged cultural assumptions. 3 years later, Stallone does it again. Another demanding film. Another successful production. The medical community stops being surprised, starts studying his approaches. This is exactly the point where everything changed, not just for Stallone, but for how we think about aging. The protocols Dr. Chen developed become templates. Sports medicine practices adopt similar approaches. What was experimental becomes mainstream. But here's the deeper lesson. The doctor was right and wrong simultaneously. Right that Stallone's body was damaged. Right that risks were real, but wrong about the conclusion. The limitation wasn't Stallone's body, it was the approach. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. 10 years later, Stallone undergoes routine scans. Dr. Chen compares them to baseline from age 50, expects accelerated deterioration, instead sees something unexpected. Several chronic conditions have stabilized, some improved. The continued activity didn't destroy his body, it preserved it. This challenges fundamental assumptions. Conventional wisdom says rest for accumulated injury. Stallone did the opposite, continued intense challenges, and his body responded better. Not because challenges were good in themselves, but because they forced adaptation, proper management, attention to recovery he might have neglected in retirement. The medical community realizes they've been missing something. For some people, the stress of physical challenge with proper support is less damaging than forced inactivity. The body responds to what you ask of it. Stallone didn't defy medicine. He challenged assumptions, forced innovation, made doctors rethink what's possible. The body he was told couldn't handle intense training at 50 is still handling it at 70. That's the real story. Not superhuman biology. His medical records prove he's damaged goods. The story is that damaged goods with proper support can still perform, that 50 isn't finished, that your body can't handle this is incomplete information. The complete statement, your body can't handle this the way you've been doing it, but maybe there's another way. Stallone found another way, proved it works, showed the medical community what they were missing. That's innovation born from refusing to accept limitation as destiny. The doctor said his body couldn't handle it. Stallone proved it could, just needed better support, smarter methods, absolute commitment. That lesson extends far beyond Hollywood. You're 50. Someone tells you, you can't. What do you hear? The end of possibility? Or the beginning of finding a better approach? Because the difference between those responses might determine the next 20 years of your life. Stallone chose the second option, changed what 50 means, changed what damaged means, changed what possible means, made experts work harder to explain why something can't be done. Often in that effort, they discover you actually can.